Hey, let me check the audio here. Check. Check, check. Hmm. Check. Check. Testing. Check. 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 Can y'all hear me? Because I can't hear myself. See, my mic's coming through. Check. Testing. Check. Hmm. Check. Testing. Huh. I don't know what's going on. Check. 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 Maybe it's something to do with my YouTube. Can y'all hear me? Oh, it's because I'm not on my latest stream. I'm probably sitting there saying the same thing over and over again. Maybe it's something to do with my... There we go. Dang it. I didn't see that I wasn't at the edge of my stream, so I wasn't actually checking my audio. Sorry about that. I thought, that's weird. Looks like it should be working, because it should have been working. All right, let's get started. So... let's see. How does that frame me? I don't think that's too bad. Okay. All right. Here we go. So today we're going to do a deck of cards, and we're going to do a few things with that. We're going to make it playable. We're going to do some things with textures and data assets. We're going to do some shuffling, just a few different. I think we're going to cover a lot of fun topics today. I've been thinking it through. The only thing we're starting with is my asset pack. You do not need my asset pack to follow along, but my asset pack is really this of the three things I got on the marketplace. This one is just a bunch of pictures. It's just a bunch of pictures that are ready to go for like mobile stuff. It's a starter UI is what I call it, just so you can kind of quickly get some textures for your project. So we're using that today for that purpose. But you can use your own textures. You can just grab something off the internet. You could draw it. You could whatever you need to do. So there's not. That's the only thing we're starting with. Let's go ahead and go to File, and we're going to go to New Level. We're going to make an empty level. Create it. Let's go ahead and save it as. And we're going to save this as. We'll make a new folder called Maps. And we'll save this one as Basic. I'm not the best namer. So the first thing we're going to do is create an asset, create a card. before we do anything else, because if we've got cards, we've got something we can start messing with. So I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this blueprints. And it's going to be our basic blueprints. And we're going to make, we're going to just start with the card blueprint before we do anything else. So it's going to be a basic actor. I'm going to call it card EP. And this is going to be essentially all the cards. It's going to be all the cards. How? It's going to build off of a data asset. So let's go ahead and make that data asset first, because I won't be able to show you much about the card. But this bleep key now exists, and let's make a new folder and call this card EA. I like to put what it is at the end with an underscore. Some people don't. Some people very much dislike that. It's up to you. You don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. But when you collaborate with people, they'll get upset. So let's go to we need to create what's called a parent data asset. You can make these in blueprints, and I just can't remember exactly where it is. There's a data asset right there. Oh yes, okay. We got to go to blueprint class. We need to go to all classes. Primary data asset, not parent data asset. My bad. Okay, we're going to select primary data asset as the kind of class we're creating right now, and we're going to call this card PDA. Excuse me, I'm drinking some soda. I would say it's not comparable to Blender. It is good for. I've done some asset building in it. I've done some basic asset building and some animations in it. It's great for touching stuff up or quickly getting some things done at the very tail end of the process or the very beginning of the process. It's really good. I'm not an asset creator. I'm more of the programmer side of things. So, but I do have to mess with assets a lot, including create some sometimes. So I would say that Unreal for building assets is mid. It's fine. It's fine. Like, don't be ashamed of using it. You might find some people who swear by it, but it's just not really had a long enough life cycle to really have solved all the problems yet. But it is solving some problems already. So like, just sometimes it's nice just to be able to take an asset that already exists in your game, open it up into the modeler, and just fix some stuff real quick, and then it's just already there. Definitely a good feature. I'm glad Unreal added it. I just don't. Here's all goofy. I just don't. I don't make assets a ton, so I've used Blender some too. I still use Blender to really clean up UVs and stuff like that. All right, so we've created a primary data asset. What this does is this is now like the way to put all the variables we want on the card here. And then we're going to make children of this and then be able to make different types of cards. So we can essentially, it's a prefab. Well, that might not be the right word. Unity has a lot of baggage on that. It's a preset things. You don't edit these at runtime. These are just going to be preset data points. So let's add some variables. The card's going to have a value, right? So it's going to have how much it's worth. We could call this, actually, we could call this basic value, because this will be whether or not it's a face card or not. And then we could do something like we're gonna make blackjack today, so we're gonna say blackjack value. That might be different than the basic value. So we're gonna say an ace is 1 today, but you might have a different game where you want to use the ace. That's a different value, so. Yeah, I know it's not best for texturing. Texturing still probably you're gonna want to use Blender. I've heard Maya is really good, and in fact, whenever I've had somebody save something in a project, they've always taken it into Maya and fixed stuff and brought it back when I've worked with people. So I haven't used Maya, so I can't tell you from personal experience, but I've watched people use it to fix our stuff, and I think Maya is the one everybody wishes they had. It's just not free. Blender's good, and Blender's what I've used in Unreal. So as far as the free ones go, Blender's got more power, but Unreal's catching up. I think one day it might replace it, so it'd be worth learning. As long as they keep up with it. Okay, so we've got basic value, blackjack value. And let's go out of this and let's make an enum. And let's just call this card type or suit. Let's call it suit enum. Now, if I spell something wrong, just let me know. So for here, we're just gonna add the 4 suits. We got spade. And this is all cards. I'm doing off the top of my head. So if I remember something wrong or say something dumb, let me know. Clubs. Is it spade, club, or spades and clubs? Let's do that. Let's just make it plural. Hearts and diamonds. All right, now we've got our suits. So now we can go to our data asset and we can add a suit. And let's add a texture 2D. If you have any questions, let me know. This will make a lot more sense why we're starting with this in just a second. If you've never used a data asset before, though, these are great. They save so much time. Because if you build to use a data asset, you essentially build to be modular, which is really helpful. Let's find an example one. So in my asset pack, I know I already have the basic suits. That's why I imported it, because I already have those as a texture. Excuse me. So now we got a texture, a suit, a value. We can add more later if we want. So right now we have a blackjack value. And let's see. So the value is going to be whether or not it's a face card too. Yeah, we'll build that in the blueprint. Okay. So now let's make an individual card. So I'm going to create a blueprint class again, and this time I'm going to make it out of the card PDA. It's not the right color. I did something wrong. Maybe if I just make a child. Let's call this the king. No, let's just do 2. to over here. Yeah, okay, this worked. Okay, all the values are imported. Sorry, I've been in 4.27, 5 point whatever, 5 point whatever. Now I'm in 5.6. So like sometimes things are just in a little different spot, a little different color, and I get a little thrown. So this is going to be a 2. So its value is 2. Its blackjack value is 2. It can be a spade. And then we're going to go ahead and set this as a spade. So now we've got a data for a card, right? This is a spade. That means I need to call this card PDA. I need to call it 2 of spades. That's much better. So now I can duplicate this and then call this one the 3 of spades and then open it up. 3 and 3. Sometimes there are some things you do that just require a lot of setup where you just gotta put the monkey work in to get what you need. Now I try to not do monkey work whenever possible. This will save a lot of time on the front end, but a lot of time on the top layer of stuff as you have your app make a ton of different decisions. At the top layer, it's going to be a card. And when you have everything, when you get the top layer, sometimes having the top layer be rigid is nice because it makes it modular to where if it can change everything on the go. Sometimes it means you have to make your top layer a big list where you've got to import list or make list or whatever, but it can just run with it. Like you can just do so much. If you're just joining, we're making data assets for cards. And let's go ahead and do something with one of these data assets. So we're going to open card blueprint. Now here, what we're going to do is we're going to make a cube for now. Let's make a material as well. And this material is going to be something that we can swap the texture on dynamically. Material, we're going to call this MasterCard material matte. MasterCard matte. All right, we can make this fancier later on. And ideally, we'd have like a custom mesh for your card, right? But you know, this is a one-night game build where we're starting with minimal assets. So we're just doing kind of a prototype approach. And with a prototype, you're just going to use a cube. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hold down the T button and hit click. That's going to bring up a texture sample. And here, I'm going to feed this as a parameter soon. But let's go ahead and have one here so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to right click and convert this to a parameter. And the parameter name is going to be suit. I always like to do all lowercase because it's a text-based thing, and it's just better to just know it's all lowercase every single time. Some people like to always start with a capital. They have a certain naming schema. To me, when it's a parameter in meta sounds or it's a parameter in a texture or whatever, I just lowercase. There's no reason to make it any kind of complicated. So we can also multiply this by a color here. So to make a color, I'm going to hit 3. And the 3, when I hit 3 and clicked, I made a 3 vector constant. Or a 3, like a 3 float vector, which right now is a constant. A color is essentially 3 floats. So we can make it red, just so we can see what we're doing. We're going to multiply that Now the way I have this texture made is essentially that black around it. This is an alpha, like it's an actual PNG. That black is no background, so there's nothing to color there. We could even mask it out if we wanted to. If we made this a mask material, there's no reason to do that right now. Actually, well, we can get fancy with the textures later. We need to move on right now. Unless you guys are like super wanting me to get fancy with the textures, but I want to first rule is let's try to get it finished, and then we can kind of monkey with it as we have time. Okay, so now we've got a basic card texture. Let's just see how it looks on our cube. Make sure it's intelligible. MasterCard mat. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay. So it looks like that. We're going to make it more cardish in a second. Okay. But first, I'm going to go to where this is, and I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to create material instance. And this is, I'm just going to let it be called MasterCard material instance. But I did it too soon. Did I convert this to a parameter? No, I didn't. Right click, convert to parameter. All lowercase, we're going to call this one color. If you have a question about anything I'm doing, you can ask. So let's make the default value. Well, the default value can be black. That's fine. Okay. Let's make it white. There we go. We can make some changes to how the colors on the card work later, but this will work for our purposes right now. So now we've made a dynamic material, something we can mess with here. So first thing I want to happen is I'm going to create a function. So over here in my functions, this is where we can make something reusable, and this function is going to be called setup card. And we need a variable for the primary data asset, and it's going to be called card type. Oh, I made an event dispatcher. Whoopsie. Variable card type, and we need to select the card primary data asset object reference. And when we compile, save, I should be able to pick, if I did this right. I can't, so maybe I did something wrong. Okay. This 2 of spades, 3 of spades. It's parent. So if I look up here in the corner, I can see the parent class is a card PDA. So this is the card PDA. So this is correct. So just so you know what I'm doing right now, I'm troubleshooting. I can't find these as a variable, which is odd. So I'm trying to figure out why. If I view the data asset here, when I look at the parent, I need to make sure the parent is the card PDA, which it is. So if the parent is the card PDA, then I should be able to put any children of it as the blueprint here. So let me compile. I had this problem the other day. I've just done something silly. We're going to get it solved. We're going to get it solved really quickly. Okay. So make it a different way. Card PDA. Aha. Okay, I've done it. Okay. It's a simple mistake to make. So if you're ever making data assets, you can easily get them kind of parented incorrectly. So what I've made is 3 primary data assets. That's why I was like, the color's wrong. I thought it was because I wasn't used to 5.6. That's not the case. I made a mistake. So we're going to fix it. I'm going to go to Blueprint class, and I'm going to make a data. Actually, no, it's not from here. Right click. Sorry, we're doing a lot of different things. I'm doing it from memory, so sometimes I'm going to be a bit off. We're going to go to Blueprint, or is it miscellaneous? Miscellaneous. We're going to go to data asset. Then it's going to ask us to pick the data asset we want. We're going to pick card PDA. There we go. Now we got a new data asset. I can rename this, and we're going to call this one 2 of spades DA. Yeah, it's already in use. So let me delete these. Does that make sense what happened to everybody? What I did was, when I created a data asset, when I made a child data asset, I just made a child, but I didn't actually make a reference child. It's a little different on how the data assets work. So I needed a data asset, not a new PDA, and so I accidentally made a new PDA. So hopefully, maybe that'll keep you all from getting tripped up like I did in the future. So now if we look at this data asset, we can call this one 2 spades and set this to be spade. All right. There we go. And then I can just make a dupe of these, and I can do 3 really quick. Let's finish renaming it. And for this one, it would just be 3, and this one's done. Okay, we'll worry about more cards in a minute. Let's go ahead and get the rest of the game going. All right, now I can go back to my blueprint. My card blueprint here. I can go to this card type, which we did correctly, but I will actually be able to select out of the data assets now. We're going to select the 2 of spades, and we're going to set up the card. I'm going to get this cube reference. I'm going to get material. And I know it's a 0 element because we've got nothing else on it. You might have to do, if you make it more complicated, you're going to have to do more complicated things to get the material. But right now, we know the 0 element on material is the material we want. We're going to create a dynamic material instance. And what I want to do for good measure too, there, I didn't have it hooked up. The cube is hooked up to both the material and the dynamic material. Let's go back to the event graph so we can see what, or the viewport so we can see what we're doing. I have this to MasterCard mat. I want this to MasterCard mat instance. There. Now we got the MasterCard mat instance. If you have any questions about what a material instance is or anything, just let me know. So when we set up the card, now we've created a dynamic material instance. I'm going to promote this to a variable and call this dynamic mat. And we are going to get the card type. We're going to get the type, or what did I call it? Suit. It's called new variable. That's my problem. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the parent here. I'm I'm going to rename these variables sensible names. Suit enum, and then I'm going to rename this one texture. All right, now I'll be able to find them. So when I grab out of the card data asset here, now I can grab whatever the case is. So whatever the data asset is, it will make the card to match. So let's go ahead and make that happen. Let's get the suit enum. There we go. Now whatever the suit enum is, we can do a select. And we can make it select the proper we can make it select the proper anything based off the enum here. So actually what I could do is just by the enum have it change the texture instead of having it get the texture out of here. So right now I have it dependent on the data asset, but what you could do is make it forced to match the enum. So the benefit to this method is that you can have some more things. You can put less inputs on the data asset, and you can have some more things just automatically set up. The benefit to the other method is that sometimes you might want to reference something directly from the data asset that might be more difficult to go out from a blueprint. So like if you were doing a menu, you could have an item that it could read the data asset and it could build stuff on the menu, but then it could also send that data asset to the blueprint and have more things that the blueprint can do with it that the menu couldn't and didn't care about. And so the menu might need a texture and the other blueprint might not need a texture. So it just depends on what you think you're going to be doing in the future. For this right now, I'm actually going to just have it select based off we're gonna right click this and we're gonna change pen type to 2D texture right here, and then I can select art. Oh, that's spades, so I need to select spades. Club art. So you see what I mean? You can, it's kind of 6 and 1/2 dozen in the other. It just really just depends on what you're planning on doing down the line. Right now, I like the fact that this would be hard setting with the suit enumerator, so I'm gonna do it that way for now. Diamonds, and we need a diamond. All right, there we go. So in this dynamic material instance, we can actually set the parameter, and we're going to set texture parameter value. The name of this we know, and I can go right here and I can grab it. It's sweet, but I like to copy it directly. It keeps you from having stupid typo issues when it comes to text matching. I'm going to paste it right there, and I'm going to put this right here. So now what will happen is every single time we could have just grabbed the texture directly off the data asset, but I'm actually making it choose depending on the enum options. We're making it call this parameter value, and based off what the enum is, it will select one of these and feed it to that. So if we want to see this work, what we can do is go to the construction script, and we can run our setup card. So now it'll run every time we construct, and we also need it to run on event begin play. So we can see it in the editor this way, and we can see it in the level. So you can see it changed the suit to spade. I'm going to go to the 2 spades, and I'm going to change this real quick to spawn point, just to make the point, right? That's not going to change anything. Sorry. That won't change anything, but this will. Clubs. So now you can see which one it's pulling from. Let's go to card BP here. Let's recompile it. Boom. Now it's a club because I told it to do this whenever it's a club, not because of the texture I have in there. So, and it's being dynamically set. Can make it to anything we want. I keep grabbing the wrong thing here. Let's go to diamonds. Let's close this for now. Compile. Oh wait, did I make that? I did the 3 of spades. That's not what I want to do. Diamonds, save. Sorry, wrong thing. Card BP, compile, boom. Now it's a diamond. So you can see how useful these are. When you do things off of a data asset, you essentially only have to program something once, which is what I love. There's a whole app I made, like a Twilight Imperium. If you've ever played the game, it's amazing. I made an app where you fight, like where you do the space battles that way. We have the space battles like pre-done for you, like does all the dice rolls and stuff for you, and you can have the modifiers on it, and you can select the ships and destroy them or add more if you get like a special card. Like it could do all the stuff. It essentially sped up the space battles, but I didn't use data assets or something similar. So I had to like redo so much work, and that I learned so much. That app didn't do much for me except for the fact that, well, we used it in Twilight Imperium some, but it taught me a lot about how I don't want to do things in the future. All right, so now let's change this back to spades just so we can be consistent. Point made. And I'm gonna leave these up though. Go back to the card, recompile. Okay, so now this is the 2 of spades. Can we display that? Yes, we can. I'm going to have it pick an actual 3D text. Again, if you're doing this, like a more refined way to do it would be to have it pick the whole texture based off the number, or it could, like we could already have this texture pre-baked with a 2 in the corner and make it choose that one with a 2 specifically. There's so many ways we could cut this chicken, right? But for today, we're going to just create a text render, because this is the simplest way to do it for now. And we're just going to call this value. For right now, I'm going to let it kind of hover in front. A little too far in front. Oh, right on the plane. Perfect. We're going to pop it 1 off. Okay, I'm going to change this snapping degrees to the lowest because, actually, yeah, lowest, because I hate it when it won't let me do this, won't let me get close. All right. So I'm going to call this 0, so we know it's not populated. And we're going to go ahead and center this. And top center. There. When things are centered for this kind of stuff, I like it so much better. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to setup card, and we're going to change this value here. We're going to get the value, and we're going to go set text. Set text. That's simple. And what do we want the text to be? Well, we have a value that the card is. So I'm actually going to get value, the basic value. And we're going to use the select node again. Here's why. Because sometimes the value is actually going to be a letter, right? So here's the fun part. If it's a 1, we can change, we make this a text. Okay, so if it's a 1, it's what? It's an ace, right? If it's a 2, okay, wait. So option 0, it's just we're not gonna have an option 0. We're just gonna put 0 there. Option 1, we might be able to change the select pin types. Nope. Okay, it just does it raw from 1. That's just the nature of the fact that it doesn't know the limitations on this variable that we're inputting. So it's just assuming I can put any number in here, which is fine. That's a lot of options. But we know we're only going to be putting card numbers in here. So if it's option 1, then it's going to be an ace. If it's option 2, if the value is 2, it is going to be a 2, so on and so forth. Let's pop those in real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully I've shown somebody at this point something they haven't seen before. I know I was way too late in my career that I learned about select nodes, but they are beautiful. 8 is 8, 9 is 9. Why did I do that? Why did I make it all messy? 10 is 10. 11 is not 11. 11 is a J for Jack. And then 12 is a Q for Queen. It's 13. Am I right? Is that... Hang on. Yeah, you go to 10, and then 11, 12, and 13 is a King. Okay, tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Because, again, we're doing some face card stuff, so I'm doing it off the top of my head. So if I just have a mismemory or something silly, let me know. Okay, so now let's go back to the viewport. You can see it's got a 2. It's got a 2. All right. So this is more like a dice instead of a card here. What we're going to do is we're going to skinny this cube up. No, I hit the wrong button. Okay. We're going to skinny it up. Okay, is this the best way to do it? Well, it depends. Could you do it as a sprite? Yes, then it would only be one-sided. Could you do it as like a two-sided sprite? Yeah. Could you do it as just like a texture over a card? Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Do you want it to have physics? Do you want it to touch other cards? Do you want it to actually stack? Okay, so what I just made a mistake, and I'm undoing it. I want this card's origin point to be right here in the center, so I do not want to move that card to the 2. I want to move the 2 to the card. And again, too, in a more elegant way, we could make this tied to the texture and just have it make more textures to choose from, and based off the number and the value, right? Very similar to what we've done if we did it that way. But for today, we're just doing this. We can make it two-sided as well. We can essentially duplicate this value and call this one upside down. Oop, wrong way. Wrong way. Okay. I'm going to 180 this. And then we're going to duplicate the upside down. Pop it on the other side and duplicate the value. Pop it to the other side. Again, this is the quick, simple way to do physics-based cards here. There are other ways to do it. They just require more setup. All right, so we're going to need to make sure these are facing the right direction too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and add these to the setup card as well. I just drag them off here. We're just going to set the text a few more times. It's very simple. We could even make it a function if we wanted to. I don't think it's quite worth doing that, but if you have a whole lot of things to do, you might want to make it a separate function. Boom. Okay, we've already got the value. We've got value 1, upside down 1. We need it upside down. Doesn't matter the order. Okay, and we just take the same value and we can just feed off this choice right here. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of blueprint organization, but not much because it's a bit of a waste of time as long as you can see what's going on. If you hit Q, lines them up. Sometimes it lines them up. You don't want it to, though. All right. Now, go to the viewport here. Boom. And that's what I thought was going to be the case. Okay, they're all messed up. I don't know why I flipped this one upside down. Let's make that 0 again. Okay. Actually, no, I do want that one upside down. Yes, because it's a card. It's a playing card. Silly. Sorry. It's easy to... Okay, so this one, let's flip this one first so I don't get confused. This one's going to need to be a 180 flop. Nope, not there. There we go, 180 on Z. Wrong Z. Oh, that was the location. Man, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to stream and think at the same time. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next and what I'm going to say next. Anyway, I'm getting better at it. Okay, so here we go. We've got a playing card. We can make it a little taller. Let's do this. Let's couple the value and the value 1 together, and the upside down one together. And so when we decide to change, make this card a little taller, when I pull them up, actually I've grabbed value 2. I need to grab value 1. Pull them up, it will pull them both up together. And then I grab the parent to that one, it will pull them both down together. All right. Now that's good enough for government work. It's good enough for tonight. We have a card. We have a card. Now here's the thing though. They're the wrong color, right? This is the right color, but hearts is going to be the wrong color. So another thing we can do is we can grab this enum here, and before we do all this mess, should I collapse this into its own function? I am. I'm a do it. Collapse function. We're going to call this set values. All right. I'm going to leave this out here because it's a data asset dependent thing. So I like to see where it comes from. Nothing changed except, oh, good. It even almost stayed nice and neat. All right. Nothing changed here. Nothing broke. All right. Let's go back to setup card. Before we do this, actually, no, that's fine. After we do this, I'm going to go to switch on enum. Now, that's another option besides select is switch. So I'm going to set the color. So we're going to grab the dynamic material again. And we're going to set vector parameter value. And it's just called color, no caps. We will see if I'm right or wrong. It's a little risky. All right, we're going to do it black. And again, you could put this in a data asset too, right? If you're doing like a Slay the Spire type card game, you may want to put way more things in the data asset. Value and this and that, whatever. Very much more regimented, right? But this is a playing card deck. So we kind of know there's some assumptions here we can build off of. We know that the spades needs to be black. And then the hearts and diamonds need to be red. This making sense? Everybody tracking? All right. But here's what we're going to do. Because we have the negative value, what we could do is make this white and that red. But I think it's time to fix the material. Let's do that. Go to the mats, go to the master. What we're going to want is the alpha channel to multiply by the color. And let's multiply, let's duplicate this. Actually, no, let's just make a standard color. So the standard color is going to be white. We're going to move this to black. Standard color is just going to be white. And this is going to be a constant, unless you want to be able to change the color. We're going to multiply the rest of this by white. Let's see. See if I'm remembering correctly here what to do. Aha! That looked better than I thought. Hang on. So that is setting its constant value. So what happens when I change this? Nothing. That's because I'm washing it out. Okay. I know how to do this, but I don't want to struggle to remember on the live stream. So if it comes to me a little later, we'll fix it. But right now, here's a solution. We are going to make red and black instead of white and black as a simple solution here. Great. I'm glad you're finding it informative. Okay, so let's go back to the card, the viewport. Okay, so we need to go to setup card, and we're going to make this white. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and make the 2 of hearts. I know this doesn't matter, but I just want to set it anyway. All right, so to make that, we're going to duplicate. And we're going to make... we're going to get to the meat of this before we make all the cards. Oh, but I can't Google it right now. I'll Google it later. So let's see. I just made a couple of things. So let's go ahead and rename this one to, this one's going to be called, I keep clicking the wrong thing. This one's going to be called the 2 of hearts. And this one's going to be called spades, 2 of spades. Okay, rename. This one's going to be the 2 of clubs. And we're going to get the 2 of diamonds. Okay, and I didn't. Or DA. All right. Let's go into 2 clubs and let's make it a club. I'm not going to mess with this right now because I've decided not to use it. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. To keep myself from getting confused, I'm going to show you something. We're going to remove the texture from the data asset right now. And you can see now when I come back, it's gone. later, if we decide to add more information, we can add whatever information later. It will populate everything later. So the two of spades, the two of spades, the three of spades is the three of spades, two of clubs is the two of clubs. This is not going to get confusing. Three of spades, two of spades, two of hearts. Two of diamonds. All right, let's check our work here. Let's go back here, go to the card type, and let's do something like two of hearts. Boom, it's red, it's a heart, it's got a two on it. Let's do two of spades and two of clubs, two of diamonds, and it's red. Huzzah! We now have the basics for a deck of cards. Um, let's go ahead and set up some of the rest of the game. Oh, dude, I got side monitors, but I can't. I don't want to read and stream at the same time because I know what to do next. I know what to do next. I've got I just don't want to Google finer points about materials when I know we can be moving on to other good meat of stuff. So let's see. Hi, Stephen, by the way. Thanks for joining me, man. All right. Let's go on to let's make the card game here. All right. So let's add a cube. This is going to be our table. No reason to make anything super special right now. And let's add a light. A spotlight. Be real dramatic. All right, and let's make this all right. Now we've got a dramatic card table. Let's go ahead and let's drag a blueprint in. It's pretty big, and that's okay. And it sits there, it does nothing. We could make it have physics. Trying to decide if that's important yet. Yeah, let's make it have physics first, because then that will sort how it stacks. By time. So let's go here. Let's go to the cube itself. Let's rename this card. And let's set this to have physics. We're going to scroll down, and it is going to simulate hit events, because we might want that later. And it's going to, we're going to want a physics material. Okay. All right. So we made a new physics material for this. What this is going to do is going to let us make it slide on the table like a card does. We'll mess with that in a second. Right now, it's got the default values. Essentially, anytime materials interact, it decides how much friction there is and stuff like that. What you can do with the physics material is essentially make more fine-tuned decisions on how these things interact with a lot of preset values. So it's just a spreadsheet for Unreal. You just fill out some values on a spreadsheet, nothing hard. The cool thing about it is you can make decisions also by querying the physics material. So you can say, is this a road? Is it on like a road material? Is it a dirt material? And so you can like look up the kind of physics material it is, and you can maybe make different sound effects and stuff like that. So it's very cool. It's just one more tool in your tool belt. So we made a card, physics material. Okay, so what we want to do is select yes to simulate physics. So now I want to drag this bad boy in. No, not the physics material. I don't want this physics material in. I want the blueprint in. I drag this guy in. We hit play. Boom. And notice the numbers fell off, which is hilarious. And I know exactly why. All these need to parent. Now that they're in the right spot, they need to parent to the card. And so now they'll move with the card. Yeah, there. Boom. Now they move together. There we go. Now we've got a card, a nice heavy card. Maybe the card's a bit too heavy. Man, physics do so much. So much in such a little time. Okay. So let's go. Set up card. What do I want to do? I want to finish the physics on it. So let's go back to the card here. Let's go to the physics material. We're going to edit it. We're going to lower the friction coefficient. Something pretty low. And we don't really need to worry about the density. That's if we're worried about things floating or not. Not yet. We're not doing cards in water today. But one thing you can do is with physics, when you have simulate physics on, you can change the angular dampening and gravity and whatever else. We're going to change the mass. We're going to change it to something light. We're going to change it to something very light. 15 grams. That's more than a card, but let's see. There. All right. So now let's drop a couple on top of each other and see what happens. And actually, here's what I want to do. I want to drag a second card out here, but what I want to happen is I want to be able to change this at runtime. So I'm going to go to this card type here. I'm going to hit this view arrow. I mean, not view arrow, eyeball. And the eyeball is going to let me deal with that outside in the editor. And it's going to let me change it outside in the editor. And I'm also going to go to this value and I'm going to hit expose on spawn. So now when I spawn a card, I'll be able to pick what card type it is when I spawn it. I won't cheat, I promise. Here we go, that's fine. We'll tweak it later. Okay, so now we've got cards, and I want to change the card type, and now I can do it right here in the editor because I have it selected. You can go over here. You can see the card type is now something I can change dynamically per instance. So I'm going to change it to this 3 of spades. There. Boom. There we go. All right. No, I'm mostly just showing the process. I like making assets for the asset store. I may finish just the generic deck of cards, like do it a little nicer later on, and import it, like make it a store asset that's just like cards, and it's just like they work like cards. They have the numbers of cards. You can use them for any kind of game. Just a very generic set of cards that have a lot of the values and stuff already attached, and that can be usable. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. I don't know. Really, right now, what I want to do is just show very general processes in Unreal. And making cards is a really good way to do that. So, what if I wanted to add up all the cards that we had? Well, we could do that. Let's make a card manager. Go to blueprints, and we're making blackjack tonight. That's the plan. So, a very simplified version of blackjack too, because we're not gonna do AI and stuff tonight. We're mostly focusing on like cards and how that works. So we're going to make a new blueprint class. This is just an actor, and we're going to call this dealer. All right, so the dealer BP, this is where we're going to put all of our logic on spawning cards. So on a timer, just a timer at first, right? Just to set timer event. What we're going to do is we're going to spawn cards. We're going to make sure everything works like we want it to, then we're going to add controls. So every 2 seconds, I want to spawn an actor from a class. What actor? Glad you asked. It's the card actor. And look, now we can pick the kind of card it is when it spawns. So here's the fun part. We can make a deck of cards. Oh, it wants to spawn transform. Here's what I would do. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's add this. Let's add a scene component. Actually, a billboard so we can see it. A billboard. And we're going to call this spawn location. So now the spawn location is going to be where that dinosaur head is. Ooh, we can make it something different. We can make the spawn location something cool like that. Oh wait, no, it doesn't like that. We're gonna make it one of the assets I had. Not ammo. Bow. Now, let's make it. We can do a bird. It's why is it mad? Because I still haven't plugged that in. So we're going to grab this. We're going to get the world location, not the relative location. The world transform, actually. Make it even simpler. Pop that in there. Boom. Now we know where the card's going to spawn. If we go back to here, we can grab the manager and we can put it in RAM. Right now it doesn't exist. So we need to put the manager in the level, the dealer. Boom, we put it in the level. Where is the card going to spawn? Well, we can actually click the spawn location here in the world, and we can move that separately than its default root location. So if it's got other pieces and stuff, we can do that later. So now we should spawn 2 clubs every second. Yep, 2 diamonds, I mean. Oh, but I didn't loop it. But it worked. It worked. You saw it spawn. So that's our dealer. He's going to just give us cards. Let's go back to the dealer. Again, if anything's moving too fast, you got a question or something, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer it. Let's make a deck of cards. So what we need to do is promote this to a variable. And I'm going to change this variable to an array. Oh, well, I could have done it when it wasn't already out there. Then I wouldn't have had to wait on this indexing. Sorry about that. Sometimes I get excited. Just click buttons. All right, here we go. Boom. Now, what we can do is we can preset the card types we want. So right now we've only got a few done, right? Two of hearts, two of spades, two diamonds, two of clubs, three of spades. We can essentially make our deck. I'm not going to say card types. This is going to be called our deck. This is our deck. We can put whatever we want in here. We can make it a deck entirely of aces. We can make it exactly have 52 of exactly what we want. This is our deck. What we can do is we can shuffle it on event begin play, so it's always different. And that's literally, since it's an array, you can actually just shuffle it. You can just change the order right there. Boom, it's shuffled. So whenever the game starts, it's going to shuffle. But then we want it to not do the same one twice, right? So we want to deal out each card one at a time. So I'm going to grab the deck again, and I'm going to get an index. We're going to promote this to a variable. We're going to call this deck index. So there would be up to 51 in ours, but right now we know that we've only got 5. So we're just going to go through 5. So we're going to spawn this one, which starts at 0. Why does it start at 0? Because it's not changed to default. Then we're going to set the deck index to be the deck index plus 1. But we don't want to do that every single time because it could make a bug, because we could get something out of index and cause a real big problem. So what we're going to do first is let's hit B and make a branch. B and click to make a branch. And we're going to decide if the deck index, let's get the last. If this equal to the last index, now we don't have to change it later. When we add more to it, it'll always work. Equal to the last index, then we'll set it to 0. Right? Let me scratch that, reverse it. Okay. True. If it's equal to it, we'll set it to 0. If not, we'll add 1 to it. Now we should iterate through all the cards we have. Going to delete the ones pre-existing. Two. Oh. We gotta make this looping, don't we? Now it's doing the 2 diamonds every time. Why? Because I didn't actually hook this up. That's why. Now it should work, because now it should actually be changing the index as it goes. 2 of hearts, 2 diamonds, 2 spades, 2 of clubs, 3 of spades, 2 of hearts, 2 diamonds. It's going through, and it's shuffled at once, but it's going through the list. All right, and it will do that for infinity. Another thing we could do is we can make it be done when the this timer's not going to last forever for what we're doing, so I'm just running tests with it. But essentially, we could make a function. Let's collapse class to a function. We're going to call this reset deck. What are we going to do? We're going to set that to 0, and we're going to shuffle this bad boy. Now, every time it starts over, it'll be shuffled again. And we could do more. We could delete all the cards, put them back in, whatever we need to do for the game. We could do different things based off the game mode. We could do whatever. But this is just a start to little itty bitty changes get you where you want to go. So boom, it's going to spawn card. All right, on our dealer, let's go ahead and make another physical UI here. Let's do a text render since we're already doing so many of those, and we'll call this one score. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if you're how familiar you are with the Unreal Engine, but you can pretty much make an entire game with just blueprint nodes. Now, and if you want more blueprint nodes, you can go into C++. So you can make more. They're just C++ pre-canned bits of C++. Now, you know, there are very important times to use C++. I am a fan of it when it's important. I'm not a fan of it when it's not important. Blueprints are way faster, and the overhead on them is grossly exaggerated in most cases. Now, hear me out. There are 100% times when you should be using C++, especially if you're having to do something complicated on tick, or if you're having to do something very CPU intensive. There's definitely times to optimize with C++. But a lot of times, though, if I need something in C++, I usually just make it a blueprint node in C++ and then use it in blueprints. Because blueprints is just so much faster. So yeah, we can make this entire game of blueprints. We won't need to do anything. Something this simple is not going to need C++. All right, so this text here. I'm going to move it just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, this is going to be called the score. And let's center it and center it. And what we want to happen is every time a new card appears, which right now is when spawn card is called, I want to do that first. Let's do a sequence. So what you can do with a sequence is you can do one thing then the other. It doesn't wait for this to complete. It will just run. So if you're wanting something at the end of this to be done before that, you're going to need like an event to kick off when it's done. That's not what a sequence is for. A sequence is to make things run independently, so something won't fail if something else is still going. So what I want to do is then get all actors of class. I want to get all the cards that exist, right? If they exist, I want to know about it. So I'm just getting all the cards. And then we're going to for each. And we're going to get the card type. We're going to get the value, specifically the blackjack value for this game. But again, you know, this is very modular, so we could do things very differently if we wanted to, very easily. Make different game modes, make different whatever. We're going to get the blackjack value, and we're going to, let's promote this to a variable and call this the total blackjack value. And what we're going to do is we're going to add these together. I'm going to drag this out here. Boom. Now, Before I even do this, though, I want to make sure the total blackjack value is set to 0. And when it's complete, I want to set the text of the score to the total blackjack value. What we're going to do here is we're going to make this a function. And we're going to name this function calculate score. So just to walk you through what it does, first thing it does is set this to 0. Then it's going to get all of our cards, find our new score, because see, for all the cards, they'll have a value. We add up all their values, we've got the new score. So then we're just going to display that new score here after it's added up. Let's see if my code works. Oh wait, first off, let's fix something here. This score, let's raise this up. That's the default loop spawn location. Let's find that. Lower that maybe a hair. And let's rotate the spawn location. Now we can rotate the cards too. Two, 4, 6, 9. There we go. It's working. It's working. Okay. Good. I'm gonna put the score kind of over here. Nope, but I moved the let's go to the spawn location and move that back over here and down. See, you can move these independently here. So if I dropped them into a new level, I could reuse them here. And so like I have this as a manager, I could make this, I could rename it to the blackjack manager and just make it do all this logic for blackjack, but drive a new manager in and do a whole different game just based off whatever manager's in the level. Yeah, you can do all sorts of modular stuff like that. Love that little boom, boom, boom bounce. Uh-oh, I'm over. Okay. So let's just finish the game. Let's just finish blackjack right here. And then because the rest of it's just adding the cards in, right? So we know we need to decide if you win or lose. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to say win, lose. Now, how do you win or lose blackjack? Well, the dealer has 2 cards. So we're going to, for this one, the dealer's going to have 2 cards, and then you can draw on the cards on top of that. So we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this dealer value. And I'm going to keep doing it with timers for a minute so we can kind of modularize what we're messing with. And so I'm not just jumping to different places constantly. We're going to do the dealer value. And we're going to get the first, get your total blackjack value. If this is greater than 21, then you lose. You lose. If it's less than 21, let's just call this overdeal check. We'll do a separate check for the dealer. So let's rename this to overdeal check. All right. Oh, that's called busting, right? Bust check. So we can check to see if you bust, and then we can make a separate function called the win lose check. And then this is where we can compare the dealer value to your total blackjack value. And you want yours to be greater. We're assuming the bust check is already done. All right. We want yours to be greater than the dealer's. If that's true, print string. You win. Now we'll do some more stuff with that in just a second. Well, this will get us started. All right. So let's go back to the event graph here. And let's do. So I have it back of the card. So you can see all your cards, but we don't want to be able to see the dealer's card. So I have the back of the card matching. Let's see. Right now, that doesn't particularly matter because I don't think we're gonna have time today to do flipping card logic and stuff. Because the goal is just to see how much of a game we can make in a few hours. Kind of have something that's complete holistic, that involves materials, physics, that involves, a lot of the different areas, some basic troubleshooting you might come across. It just kind of brings you through the process of thinking through building a system. And I think we're accomplishing that today. So if we have time, we'll put backs on the card, but I don't think we're gonna have time to do that tonight. So we're going to leave the dealer's cards exposed for now. Again, we're going to do it with timers just because for now, for a moment, I'm going to set a timer by event again. Actually, we just need it to happen twice. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to be real lazy. We're going to make a function called we're going to make this its own function. We're going to collapse a function, call this spawn card. All right, so what we want to happen is deal card to player. First thing it's going to do is spawn card. But let's do this. I want this to pull from the same deck, right? So we're not cheating. But I might not want this to spawn from the same location. let's duplicate the spawn location. Let's call this dealer location. And then we can just add an input here called dealer. Eventually we could do players. We could add an integer to that it could do it to the different player spot. You know, like this can be expanded into anything we need later on. But for now, making a choice of whether this is a dealer or not will make us choose the spawn location. So I'm going to the deck. Does the deck need to come out of it? I guess so. We'll leave it that way for now. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, paste it. But if it's the dealer, I don't want it to be from the spawn location. I want it to be from the dealer location. All right, so we go back to the event graph. And then here we're going to spawn card. Not spawn actor, spawn card. It's going to be the dealer. You know what? All of this needs to happen when we spawn a card. So I'm going to cut this, go back in here, remove that, and hook this back up. That makes sense what I'm doing. I want all of this needs to happen every single time I spawn a card. So this is how the function needs to work. I probably don't need a return node, but I've already got it, so I'm going to hook it up. Okay. And then I want to calculate score. Aha. But we have a problem, right? When we get all the cards, we're going to end up getting the dealer's cards too. So what we can do on the card blue P is we can make a new thing called in play. And now this variable, we can set it on spawn too. So we don't have to, we can make it real simple. Now, that can mean whatever we need it to mean. And for this, it means that it's in play for the player. The other two are not. So we're going to go back to here. When we spawn a card, I'm going to recompile. Actually, I'm going to refresh these nodes here so I can see the new change. Oh, I didn't expose on spawn. Let's fix that. So in play, I've set that little eyeball to open, and then I'm going to hit expose on spawn, compile, save. Now you can see I got the in play here. If it's the dealer, I want it to not be in play. If it isn't the dealer, I want it to be in play. Now, when I decide the score, when I calculate the score, I can only add to it if it's in play. Makes sense? There we go. So now the score should still calculate correctly, and we can essentially spawn a card for the dealer, delay. Again, this is the lazy way to do it, right? It's because I know we're not going to get to a full bombastic, like different dealers for different game types, different whatever right now. So my general rule of thumb is if you have a way you know it needs to be, go ahead and do it a very abstracted, basic version of that way. Like get it moving the right direction. But if you don't, if you're just testing things, trying things out, like it's okay to make some throwaway code to just figure out if it's going to work, right? So what I want to do is deal 2 cards for the dealer. So the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to set this timer, but before that timer even sets, it's going to spawn 2 cards for the dealer. Then it's going to start spawning cards for us. They're going to spawn at different locations, and the score is only going to calculate for us, not for the dealer. After calculate score, I want to go ahead and run the bust check. Just for the heck of it. All right. Okay, so dealt for the dealer. Now it's dealing for us separately. Go to the output log. Ooh, very bottom. You lose. We busted. We got too many cards. Over 21. So that worked. That worked. Obviously, the dealer only had 4, but we keep going. So you can see too here, right? Now I can see there's a spawn location, but then here's the dealer spawn. We can make the dealer spawn further back here. Make the spawn closer to the player. I don't have a hard player set location yet. That's something we can do here as we finish up. Because I'm about to do all the player controller stuff. Let's move this a little forward. So the dealer gets its 2 random cards, and then we finish dealing through the deck ourselves. All right. We've got the basics of... We've got the basics. So let's get it off a timer and get it to be an actual game where we can actually input with it. So basics first. Let's make a player controller. Gonna call this PC for player controller. Makes sense to name it something different. So you're gonna have more than one. We are not. I'm gonna go to the world settings, and I'm going to let's make a game mode too, so we can change the player controller. Call this card GM. All right, in here we can change all these basics. We don't need to change anything except the player controller to PC. So now, if the world settings has our card GM, we can see that PC is now our player controller class. So now when we change something to do with the player controller, it will just work. I also should probably tell you what you would want to do is that's going to be your thing you do for all your maps and modes. You can actually change your game mode here in the menu. We're not making a game instance right now. We don't need one, but that's where you would change that as well. So for the player controller, let's go to the card thing here. And let's unhook this timer. We're just going to spawn 2 cards for the dealer. And we're going to go to our player controller. We're going to open it up. And we're just going to do some really stupid basic controls. Just see what we got time for tonight. I'm going to have event keyboard D, and when I press it, there's more elegant ways to do this, but we're starting to run short on time, so I'm going to do it a workable way. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just as you make a more complicated project, you're going to want more complicated ways to do it. We're going to get actor class, single actor. And I know there's only one. It's our dealer. And then we're going to deal card the player. Okay, so I'm just going to tell the actor that exists in the world to deal a card to the player when I press D. So now, oop, that's my spawn location being in a funny spot. That's why we'll get that fixed in a second. So the dealer deals itself 2, and then I can deal myself 1 by hitting D. So many cards. That's fun. Okay. So let's see. What we need to do next is, after every time we deal a card, we also need to do a break check. Or are we already doing that? We're doing a bust check. Every time we add to the score. Okay. In place true. Okay, let's make sure, is the dealer adding anything to the score? 2 cards, no score, and then I hit D. Click first, I hit D. Yeah, okay. Our score is working correctly too. I forgot to check that. I just kind of knew it would, but then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I don't know it's going to work. I need to check. You never know. All right. Now we can fix our player space where we start, because we actually have a player controller now. Let's just hit player start here. The way game modes work, they default spawn the player and like the first player start available. That doesn't mean, and we're going to make sure that arrow, that blue arrow, faces where we want it to go, the light blue arrow. I want to tilt it down a little bit. So I don't have any controls set on this, so we should just be static, which is kind of what I want. Nope, we have the default Unreal stuff, so that's all right for now. Okay. '21. Okay. Let's add the last little bits to make it a game. If we go to, let's go to event, keyboard. Now, you're probably wondering, I've heard you should make abstracted events through the controls. Yes, that's true. You can go to the controls, and you can set abstracted events that are easier to do for controllers and everything. For testing a game, I find I do that. Sometimes I just want to get some results quickly, and you can go ahead and hard set your key presses. You can create more abstracted controls later on when you hit that point, right? But you don't have to do it immediately. You don't have to do everything right away, or you'll never really get to see the prototype done. Minimum viable product, and then iterate on it, then iterate on it, and then iterate on it. So if it's going to be more time in the future to set it up, you can go ahead and do it. But event keyboard. So we're going to do C for check or stay. Actually, let's do S for stay. We're going to do the same thing again. Grab the dealer card. Again, what you would normally do is you would have this already as a variable. But the thing is, though, is because this spawns in first, if you grabbed it on begin play, it would grab a nothing because it wouldn't be spawned in. Like this would spawn in after, and so it would be a code race. So what you'd have to do is set a timer that would check to see when it spawns and then set it. And that's, like for what we're doing tonight, you don't need to do that, right? It's a limitation of tonight. So then let's go win lose check. And on the win-lose check, it's going to say you win, but then we also want to call or you lose. We can make it more sophisticated in a second. But right now we're just trying to get the basic systems, basic logic working. Go to, okay, so we calculate the scores, we do the win-lose check. That checks to see if you have more than the dealer. I guess first, we should also make it say, or and. You got to have more than the dealer, and is less than or equal to 21. If you have more than a dealer and it's less than or equal to 21, there is a case that we haven't set up yet that the dealer could also have 21. In which case I think it just goes to dealer or something, but that's not fun. So you've got to have less than or equal to 21, and your total value has to be greater than the dealer value. If that's true, you win when a win-lose check happens. And then we also want to add a new function called restart game. And here, when we restart game, we want to, drag it out. We want to get all actors of a class. We want to get all the cards. We want to, for each, for all the cards, we want to destroy them. Boom, there we go. We destroy the cards. When the game is restarted, and then we also want to set the deck index back to 0. That needs to happen every single time. And we also need to take the deck, which is the theoretical card existing, and we want to shuffle it. All right, that's everything we want to happen when a game ends, right? So now we can start the whole process over again by dealing 2 cards to the player. So let's go to the dealer here. So let's make this a custom function called deal to dealer. Boom, we're going to do that. And we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to just say deal to dealer. So in the beginning, it's going to start, it's going to shuffle the deck and deal to the dealer. And then every time we restart, it'll shuffle the deck and deal to the dealer. Okay, so when we do a win-lose check, whether you win or whether you lose, let's make a restart game. No, sorry, not a restart game. Let's make a custom event. And what this is going to do is called restart sequence. We can time things out a little bit. We could use timers. Right now we're just going to use delays. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to the win-lose check, we're going to call the restart sequence. So when you check to see if you win or lose, the game is going to be over. So restart sequence, the first thing we need to do is let's delay a second. So that way we can show the score, make sure that it's not too instantaneous. So you can see the score. You can see the you win, you lose. Actually, let's do this. Let's go back to the win lose, and let's set the score. Let's just make it more official real quick. Boom, boom. That makes sense what I'm doing. I'm promoting the variable. You lose. Okay, so I'm going to stick this in the middle here because it affects both. And I'm going to compile so I can actually write the text here. You win. You lose. All right, so we're almost done. So it's going to do the win-lose check. It's going to save you when you lose. Restart sequence. It's going to wait 2 seconds. And then it's going to restart the game. Okay, and so what I want to happen is the player can hit S to stay, and then that will be a win-lose check, which will start the process. So let's try it. All right, so the dealer, they have 4. We know they have 4 because we're not hiding their cards. We never set the dealer's score. Last thing we got to do. Okay, so when we spawn a card, we'll reset the deck. It needs to. Okay, so we're spawning a card for the dealer. Okay, we just need to have a dealer score check. So we have a calculate new score. What we could do if it's false, let's just go ahead and tag on to this. We already know if it's false, then we need to set the dealer value. So let's just set the dealer value. Ooh, yeah. We can do it. Because we're doing it fresh for everybody, all the cards, all the time. So every time we'll set the dealer value to 0. And then if it's false, what we'll do is we'll get the card value plus the dealer value. All right. So now boom, boom. All right, let me do the win-lose check. I win because I have more than the dealer, and it resets everything. But it didn't. It didn't deal to the dealer again. So let's fix that. Deal to dealer. Okay, we need to restart the game. Deal to dealer. And then we need to set the score. Set the text back to. Actually, we could just be lazy and we could just run calculate score, because that will do it for us. And I'm going to copy this node and I'm going to run it here at the start to calculate score. That will zero out the score every time because there'll be no cards to calculate. Let's give it a shot. Yep, the score is 0. The dealer has 2. What we're going to do, we're going to say hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me. And then I'm going to hit X for stay. You win 2 seconds. And then restarts. The dealer gets a redeal. The game can be played some more. You lose. All right. Well, that is essentially the game. There's a lot more rules and stuff I'd like to put in place on the player, like where the player's going to go, things like that. So I don't think we're going to have time to do it tonight. But I do believe we've done the basic goal of complete like a whole gameplay loop. So in the last one we did some packaging rules and stuff like that. If you would prefer that I allocate time every time to do some basic pawn rules, because there's really 2 things we're missing. We're missing some packaging rules that we're only going to package the level, and the pawn itself isn't frozen. So maybe we could do that real quick. Yeah, let's do this. Let's add text. Let's add instructions. Let's do this right real quick. Instructions. And then we're going to add press D to get hit. Press S to call or check. I guess check. All right, so here we can grab the instructions separately. We can kind of scoot them up and over. Let's see if we can still see them. Yeah, we can see them. Good enough for government work. All right. And now we've got basic instructions. We tell the player how to play. We see the score. We can redo it. We announce a win or loss. It reboots. S to check will work no matter what. We just need more cards. We just need more cards. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show packaging rules. I don't know if we're going to make all the cards tonight. We'll give it a shot. Let's go to the packaging rules here, though. Let's go to the project settings. And I just want to show you that when we package this game, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to packaging advance. Where'd it go? Oh, sorry, advance right here. Going to scroll down and we're going to see where's maps? List of maps to include in package build. Sorry, I kept reading right past it. We're going to hit plus and we're going to select our map, which is in maps. It's called the basic map. Boom. Now when we package the game, only things that are happening referenced from this map will get packaged. So the game should just work. At this point, if we packaged it, we've got a working game of blackjack. We just don't have all the cards yet, and we don't have the player controller locked. one way we can kind of quickly do it is uh, we can just consume the inputs of W. This is a bit of a janky way. This is not the way I would typically do it. But we're just going to consume the inputs of W and A as well. So that should override the movement. Yeah, now you can't move around. You can still tilt your mouse, and that's fine with me. Yep, I've got something funky going on. I do have a day job. Now, today particularly, I didn't have to work all day long, so it's a good day to stream, which is why I'm doing it today. I do a lot of different contract work right now. I work for different apps. I just got done doing a lot of contract work for Kataria, and I also do some contract work for my other YouTube channel. Okay, great. I'm glad you learned quite a bit. I'm super glad. That makes me very happy to hear. That's what I want to do is teach it more holistically, where you can just see um where you can see how the process can kind of all work together. Um so I'm running out of time for tonight though. At this point, we do have a full game. I would like to get more rules about movement and stuff, about the player controller and getting that all locked in, and some camera stuff, and make it prettier. Make more rules about the mat, and that's kind of the name of the game for tonight. Like we could keep going, we could keep going. We could make it to where this could play any game. We could make it multiplayer. We could do anything for it. But right now, we've got a game where we can play it. Let's add a few different cards just for the proof of concept. I don't think we'll have time to add them all. Let's go to our cards here and let's add film some face cards. So let's add the Ace of Spades. You know what this is going to be is the value is 1. Let's duplicate this and let's add the Queen of Hearts. And she's going to be a hearts, and her value is 13, 12. Her value is 12, right? And let's add. This is essentially a proof of concept, right? Showing you that if we added all the cards to the deck, which we're about to add some more, then we would have an exact functioning game of blackjack here. So, 2 of clubs, 2 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, Queen of Hearts. Let's do the King of Clubs. Yeah. And he's going to be 13. Ooh, not 133. We could make it that if we wanted to. 13, 13, and clubs. All right, so we go over here to... Oh, but it's not going to do anything yet. Why? Because we didn't put it in our deck. Just because cards exist doesn't mean it's in our deck. We're going to go back to our dealer. I'm going to put all these in a playlist, all of our one night builds in a playlist here. We need to go to our deck, and in our deck, we need to add, let's add the Queen of Hearts. Ooh, no, that's not what I meant to do. Go back to a dealer, and Let's add a few more here. Okay. So we can go to Queen of Hearts and then hit add. I don't want it to be the Queen of Hearts every time. King of Clubs, Ace of Spades. Okay, so we just added some face cards in. Again, we can make it 52. Right now, it's only a deck of 7. We could even add some rules that when it hits 52, it'd be over or whatever. So there's a king, 13. 5. All right, but that's not how blackjack works, right? You get 2 cards auto dealt to you. So here's what we're going to do. When we deal to the dealer, we're also going to do another delay. Again, this is a cheeky way to do it, right? But we're trying to get it done before we're done with the stream. I'm just trying to get a couple more things done. We're going to spawn a card to you, which means we don't have dealer checked on our function. Again, cheeky, very cheeky. Not the way I would do this for a permanent app, right? But for tonight, this will work just fine. Every time we deal a dealer, we want to deal 2 cards to you. Put another delay here. Cheeky, cheeky, cheeky. Not very happy with this way, but it will work. All right, so now we're going to deal 2 cards to you every time we deal 2 cards to the dealer, and then you can deal more. Let's try it. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Now we need to run a score check after this. All right, now we're running a score check. Now let's try it out. Boom, boom. All right, you've got 3, 16, 2, 20, and we're going to call. You win! Now, why is the dealer getting a 2 of diamonds every time? We've got a bug. We've got a bug. No one told me. Okay, so here's the bug. We are, for the dealer, not getting from the same deck. So we're moving the deck index. Are we moving the deck index like we're supposed to? Yes, we're moving the deck index, but we're not drawing from the deck. So we need to draw from the deck both times. That's the problem. Now, boom. The dealer's got a different score. There we go. And now we can call the game. I lost because the dealer had more than me. There we go. Now that is a game. That is a game. We can play it. It's not perfect. A lot more things, a ton more things we can add. But it is a playable game. In one night, we did it. We had started with 0, nothing but a few textures from my texture pack. And not even really a texture pack, from my UI starter pack, which is in the description if you're interested. It's not that expensive. But that's it. That's all we started with. A blank project. I hit empty project when we started this. And we went through the whole process. We've now got a playable game in one night. Somebody told me they learned a lot watching. That means I feel like tonight was a huge success. So that does it. Let's hit package. Any questions before I go? I'm just gonna go ahead and hit package so we can say that we packaged the game. It's in let's do shipping. Shipping, yeah. I always make a new folder. I call it packs. Yeah. We made a packageable game in a couple hours. Usually I try to do it between 2 and 3 hours. This time we're doing it in about 2 because I'm about out of time for tonight. But next time it'll probably be 3 because 3 is the sweet spot to really get something done. I think 3 is really kind of going to be the target goal. 2 is a little rushed. I feel like there's a few more things I would have rather done tonight that I didn't have time to do. But 3 is still kind of an evening you can dedicate to it and get the whole thing done. So, but let me know in the comments. Would you prefer 2 or 3? 2 is definitely doable. We just have to cut some more corners, like I was doing at the end there with the delays. And we don't get as much time to work with the pretty stuff like materials, and we didn't have time to add sound effects and stuff like that. That's really what that last hour would have been. It's just polishing it out. Um, how would you start a multiplayer? No, you do not have to run a server. You could make yourself the server. Local multiplayer would also work for this too. So to start at multiplayer, really the main difference is if we wanted this to be a multiplayer game, is everything the dealer was doing would need to come from the server. So the server would have to spawn the dealer, and the dealer would need to be doing server functions. And that's that. When I say server, you're not running a separate server. Like you are just running. Player one is the server if you're doing like a peer-to-peer connection, which you would typically do for a basic game. So you would have the server do all the commands to all the spawning. And if the server's doing all the spawning and calculating, um, then everything will replicate to everybody else. There are some more replication rules about setting variables to be replication, stuff like that, but that in general is how you would like the mindset you would start to do multiplayer. Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I plan about every other week or so. I plan to do two a month is my goal. To do 2 to 3 hours where we sit down and we make a game from start to finish, just so we can cover all these topics. Eventually, we probably can do a multiplayer game, but to do that, I've made a few multiplayer apps myself. So I very much know how to do it, and I know it to the point where it is a bit confusing, and so I need to have some stuff pre done for me so I don't muddle around with it. Like I don't want to screw it up twice and then do it right while I'm on stream. So if it's multiplayer, I'm gonna have to have a lot more prep time to make sure that we really cover a lot in that 3 hours. But I would like to do multiplayer eventually. But yeah, uh, uh, also the player state. Every player, instead of recording the score, um, you'd want to send the score to the player state, which is a whole nother thing. That's bigger than we can get into, but I just wanted to give you some buzzwords that would get you the right direction. Because if the player state has the right value, and then you know a number that ties to the player regardless of what server you're reading it on, you won't read the wrong number. If you're reading that player's player state number, you will have a number that's exact to that player. So that's how a lot of people don't do it that way, and that's the way you really ought to do it. So I just wanted to put that out in ether since the question was asked. But that would be the main differences if it was multiplayer. All right, we're cooking. We're packaging. Well, I'm gonna be around for another minute. If it packages in then that amount of time, we'll open it up and play it just for the fun of it. But if it doesn't, then I think that's it for the stream. I'm not getting any packaging errors. I didn't expect any. It's such a simple game. So it seems like if you follow along, you should be able to package and play as well. Yeah, any more questions? I really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for all your good questions. And glad we had a few people jump in. A lot of times I had a lot of people jump in post de facto, so that's totally fine too. If you're watching this after the fact, any question you would normally have typed in, leave a comment too, and I will come back and answer it. I'll answer your questions, and I will come back and answer suggestions and stuff you may have too. All right. Yeah. Thanks, man. What? Oh, it's finishing. It's finishing packaging. Uh, any second now. I can tell. Alrighty. Well, maybe not. All right. I guess I'm done for the night. Peace out, guys. But yeah, this should package and play.